Yeah, 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 yeah.
Hello and welcome to Stella's Mezza. I know it's been a while since I brought you a live video, but I'll go ahead and get started here. Now, Thanksgiving and the holidays, Christmas are around the corner. And in my household, since my husband is American, we do celebrate Thanksgiving. And we do have turkey, the regular turkey and the ham that are staples in the Thanksgiving and Christmas holidays. So I want to share with you a recipe that my husband's been using in his family for years. Now, I know it's traditionally Thanksgiving is not a Kenyan holiday, but what I like to do in my house is throw in some Kenyan dishes into the mix. So my Thanksgiving table has an international flair to it. So I'll start by introducing you to the American recipes for those of you who do not know who are like me, who are from other countries. And then I'll also throw in some African dishes for you to incorporate into your Thanksgiving menu if you like. So let's go over the ingredients to get started. Over here I have a 12-pound turkey. Now what I did is I went ahead and rinsed the cavity and the outside, got it very nice and clean. I removed the giblets because it comes with some innards, the neck, bone, and other things that come from a turkey wrapped in there. So make sure you take that out before you start. And then clean your turkey really good with cold water, okay, just like from the faucet, and then wipe it, make sure it's nice and dry. All right, and then today I will not be putting stuffing, like a lot of people do that. They put stuffing in their turkey, but if you'd like to use that stuffing recipe that I have, you can go and check out my roasted chicken recipe or video, and I'll have the stuffing recipe in there. Okay, so today I'll just be using onions and lemons, and my husband gave me a strict warning, told me do not change, do not switch up my recipe, so I'm just going to keep it the way he wants it, the way he likes it, because normally at my house he's the one in charge of making the meats during Thanksgiving and carving them, but today I'm going to share his recipe with you. So over here I have 3 lemons that I went ahead and cut crosswise in half. I have 2 medium-sized onions that I also cut crosswise in half. And today we'll be using a poultry blend of herbs. We have here rosemary, thyme, and sage that we're going to use to make a butter that we're going to put into the chicken or underneath the turkey. And over here I have regular salt, and I also have freshly ground black pepper. And we'll also need a stick of butter, okay, which I have here. And on the stove I have half a stick of butter that I'm melting. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this into brown butter, okay? We're going to heat it up on medium heat to remove the milk solids, and then it turns a nice amber brown, and we're going to infuse that butter with some sage, all right, to give it a nice flavor that we're going to later on brush over the top of our turkey. So what we're going to do, I'm going to start by stuffing the turkey. So you want the bottom cavity facing you, which is down here, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the lemons and the onions, and I'm going to start stuffing. But before I do that, we are going to season the inside the inside cavity of the turkey. So you want to stand your turkey up and make sure it's nice and dry. It's a little on the heavy side, so I'm going to stand it up, and I'm going to just put in some salt into the cavity, and I'm also going to put in some freshly ground black pepper. Now I did not want to use my grinder in there because of fear of contamination, cross contamination, so I just ground it, put it in a container, and that's what I'm using. Alright, so now we want to start stuffing the insides of it with the onions and the lemons. I'm putting that into the cavity. Let me turn this on so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, I'm just putting that in there. Try and fit it the best way you know how. What we're trying to do, the aim of this is to infuse some of the flavors from these lemons and onions into the inside cavity, and also to make sure that the cavity here, the chest cavity, does not collapse. So you want something holding it up, and that's why we're putting these in there for flavor, and also it has a functional reason to keep the turkey looking nice and plump. You just squeeze in as many of those things as you can, but try not to break it. Okay. Okay, and then I'm going to take a sprig of rosemary that I have here, and that's what it looks while it's whole, and I'm just going to put it into the side here. So as it bakes, it's also going to infuse that aroma into the chicken, into the turkey. I don't know why I keep calling this chicken. Okay. All right, so I'm going to rinse my hands really quick, and I'm going to come back and show you the next step. Right before the break, I seasoned the inside of the turkey, and I went ahead and stuffed it with some lemon and some onions. Now I want to show you a few things that you might need as you make your turkey, okay? Now you will need some kind of zester. Over here I have a microplane zester that I used to get the zest off of one of these lemons that I stuffed into the turkey, and I'm going to mix that into the compound butter that we're going to make. And you'll also need this turkey lifters. Okay, just so when your turkey's done, you can lift it easily out of your baking pan. It's not necessary, but it's a big help. And then here I have 16-ounce baking pan that I'm going to use to roast my turkey in. I'm just going to set that to the side. Okay. And you'll also need an instant read thermometer. This is oven safe. So you put it into the thickest part of your turkey without touching the bone. That way you can get a correct reading for your turkey once it's done. Now when it's done, it should be at 180 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, the chicken should be, and that's a good indicator that it's done. Also, when you cut through the between the thigh and the breast, the liquid coming out of there should run clear. There should be no bloody residue, and you'll know that your turkey is nice and done. And then we also have there's some kitchen twine. And you also need a knife, and that's just to chop up your herbs. And you also need either a basting brush, which is what I have here, or a baster. Basically what that is the tool that you'll use to drizzle the liquids that come from roasting your turkey back up over the turkey, just to make sure that it does not go dry. Okay, so now that we're done with stuffing the turkey and seasoning the inside of it, I'll show you what I have here. Now remember this blend of seasonings, the poultry blend, the rosemary, sage, and thyme? I went ahead and chopped it up real fine. And over there you see the zest of the lemon one of the lemons that I put in here. That's what I have zested up over here. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a compound butter. I'm going to move this to the side. And then we're going to put this butter, we're going to pry the skin between the flesh of the turkey and its skin, and then we're going to insert this butter in there. Now what this does is, as the turkey bakes, it infuses all the nice flavors into the chicken. Okay, so you don't want it to just taste good on the outside, you also want underneath the skin to get some of those good flavors. And you want your butter at room temperature. What I'm going to do is I'm going to mix this up. Make sure all the herbs are nicely incorporated into the butter. And then I'm going to come back and show you the next step. Oops. I went ahead and blended those herbs into the butter, and I'm going to add some of the leftover pepper and a little bit of salt, just so every part of that turkey is well seasoned. And make sure your butter is at room temperature. That'll make it easier for you to do this. Now the whole time you're prepping your compound butter, you should have your oven preheating at 350 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 180 degrees Celsius. Okay, that way once you're done doing everything, you just insert your baking pan with your turkey into the oven. All right, now what I'm going to do is try to figure a way to help you see this. I'm going to turn it sideways. Okay, so there's a skin, and what we're going to do is we're going to lift. You want to do this really gently. That way you don't break the skin on your turkey. So you just kind of lift with your fingers, gently pry the skin away from the flesh. I'm just running my finger in there ever so gently. You want to try not to puncture the skin, and you also want to try not to take all the skin away from the muscle of the turkey. That way it's not just like it's wearing a saggy jacket on it, okay? And I'm just prying that open. Now some of these turkeys come with a little pin they put on the breast of the turkey. to show you once your turkey's done that pops up. It's normally a little red dot. This one had one and I took it off because I'm going to use, I'd rather use the thermometer I showed you. So you're just going to pry that gently. See that? The skin is very thin, so be very gentle. And if some of the stuffing comes out, don't worry about it. You can always push it back in as you do this, or after you're done doing this. Okay, you can see my fingers through the skin. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that butter, okay, and then I'm just going to insert it into that space, that little pockets I created. I'm going to put it in there. Just going to put as much of it as I can. You see what I'm doing? A little bit more. Now this is not a clean job, but if you can eat it while it's cooked, I'm sure you can eat it while you can touch it or handle it while it's still in this state. If you'd like, you could use food safe, latex-free gloves to do this if it grosses you out, but it doesn't bother me not one bit. So as you can see, I pulled the skin kind of taut back over where it was, and I'm just massaging that butter into the turkey, and I want to make sure it gets in everywhere. Now I'm going to keep doing this. I'll do this for the other side, and also I'll try and get it up over the thigh area, and then I'll come back and show you the next step. Alright, for the most part our butter stopped making that sizzling sound, and it's releasing a nice nutty smell. Right? And as you can see, it's turned to a nice amber brown. You see that? And there's going to be little particles in there. Don't worry about that. That's nothing bad. Right, now what we're going to do is put our sage into the pot, and you just want to let it cook until it turns nice and crispy. Alright, our brown butter that's sage flavored is finished. As you can see, the sage leaves are looking rather crispy. So I'm going to move you over to my workstation and show you what we're going to do with this. Alright, we're back and we're done making our sage flavored brown butter. And you have it on the side. Now you're not going to need the leaves, you're just going to need the butter itself. And what I'm going to do now is I'm first going to season the skin or the top part of the turkey with just salt and pepper. And this is freshly ground black pepper. Alright, and then I'm going to lightly brush the sage flavored brown butter up over the skin of the turkey. And it's going to infuse the outer part of the turkey with this very beautiful flavor. It smells so good. The butter smells so very good. Just going to keep brushing that. And then I'll come back and show you how to finish getting our turkey ready so we can throw it into the oven. I'll be right back with you. Right, now here's what we've done so far to our turkey. We cleaned it nicely, dried it out, and then seasoned the cavity with salt and pepper, and then stuffed it with lemons and onions. And then we went ahead and pried the skin and inserted the compound or flavored butter underneath the skin, and we push it around. As you can see, if you look closely, it's all in there. And make sure you get the this area to it. Also needs some of that good flavor. And then we went ahead and made some brown butter that's been seasoned with sage, and we lightly brushed it up over our turkey. All right. So now I also inserted here oven safe thermometer, and I'm going to use to make sure that my turkey is all the way cooked. When it's well cooked, it should register at 180 degrees Fahrenheit. So what I'm going to do is show you how to tuck the wings underneath the turkey. That way you can transfer it over to our baking pan and throw it in the oven. Remember, your oven should be preheating this whole time at 350 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 180 degrees Celsius. Okay, so now I've already tucked one of the wings underneath the turkey here, and I'm going to show you what I did on this side. So if this is a wing, you want to make it look like the turkey is relaxing on on a beach chair. So the way you'd sit with your hands up over your neck or behind your neck is what you do. So you see what I did? I just took it, I applied a little bit of pressure and tucked it right underneath. And you want to do that for both sides. Now when it comes to trussing, which means tying the legs of the turkey, I just simply use a chicken twine, that the kitchen twine. I don't know why I keep saying chicken, but the kitchen twine, and I just tie it. And I don't know any interesting methods, so I just regular tie. All right, I just cross it twice and tie it tight. See what I did? And then I just make a little bow, and that's basically it. Now what I do as I put my turkey in the lower or the second rack from the bottom of the oven. You see what I did there? I just tied it, nothing too fancy. That way it cooks evenly. The legs don't burn because they're out on the sides. So I transfer this turkey onto my baking pan over here. I'll move this out the way. Oh, that's heavy. And see what I've done there? I've sat it flush in the middle of the baking pan. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lightly cover it with foil or tent it over the chicken, and I'll come back and show you what it looks like. I need to rinse my hands out. I'll be right back. Our turkey is in the roasting pan, and I'm going to show you what I mean when I say tent the foil. This is heavy duty aluminum foil. I'm going to tent it over the turkey. So I'm just going to cut a piece. You don't want to put it down too tight over the turkey, just slightly. What I'm doing, I'm not like smushing it down on the turkey. There's a pocket. I'm making sure to leave a pocket in there. That way the air circulates around the turkey and it bakes. And I'm going to do the same for the other side. Now remember, before you start working on your turkey, make sure that you leave it. First, I buy my turkey frozen from the grocery store, and then I let it thaw in the oven, in the refrigerator for a day or two. But before I start baking it, before I start working on it, I let it sit out on the counter for at least 30 to 40 minutes. That way it comes down to room temperature. And I find that when I do that, the turkey or chicken, whatever kind of poultry I'm using, cooks evenly on the inside. You don't want it to be frozen on the inside and look all nice and done on the outside. That could be very embarrassing, especially if you have company and you bring out a turkey that looks all pretty on the outside and the inside is uncooked. So make sure to let it sit out at room temperature for at least 30 minutes or 40 minutes before you start working on it. But let it thaw out in the refrigerator for a day or two after buying it. That's if you buy it frozen like I do. Okay? So I'm going to throw this in the oven, and I'm going to put a guide on my blog as well as all the list of ingredients and the exact measurements that I use for this recipe. My blog is www.stellasmeza.blogspot.com. Please be sure to visit. I'm going to throw this in the oven, and remember, for the first hour you just let it cook, and then 30 minutes after that, every 30 to 40 minutes after that, you use your baster or your basting brush to collect that liquid, that's the roasting liquids that are in the pan, to sprinkle it up over the turkey or brush it over the turkey, depending on what you're using, either a baster or a basting brush. And keep doing it, that way it does not dry out. So I'm going to let it cook covered like this up until 20 minutes before the completing baking time, and then I'm going to uncover it and I'm going to let it brown. Want the skin nice and beautiful, or beautifully browned. So I'll be right back with you to show you what the finished product looks like. We'll see you in about 3 hours. My turkey is done and it's resting on a platter. I transferred over to a platter, and what you see here is a roasting pan. I took out the rack, and what I'm trying to do is just flavor it some more with one of the onions that I removed from the cavity of the turkey. We're going to make some gravy to go with our turkey. So what you want to do is use half a cup of water or some wine, and I found some Riesling wine that was laying around from the last time I had some company. I'm just going to pour it into the pan. What we're doing is deglazing the pan, which means getting, see those little stuck on bits from when the turkey was roasting. We're taking that off the pan, and I'm going to let this simmer. The pan is sitting on 2 eyes of the stove on medium heat. I'm going to let this simmer a little bit for around 3 to 4 minutes. That way the taste of the alcohol evaporates. You know, we won't need that strong alcoholic taste in gravy. So I'm just going to let that simmer, and I'll be back with you to show you what else we need. Actually, I can point out a few things that you will need for your gravy. Over here I have some all-purpose flour. I have some chicken broth. I try and use a low sodium chicken broth. I have some heavy whipping cream. That's just going to give our gravy some body. I have here, I'm going to grate some, I'm going to use some freshly ground black pepper and some kosher salt. And you might also need either a wooden spoon or flat whisk. I'm going to use this, will come in handy, especially when after I add the flour into the gravy, to break up any lumps. So I'll be right back with you to show you what the next step is. Just let this, I want to let the taste of alcohol evaporate from this gravy. I'll be right back. Alright, now I went ahead and run that the turkey drippings with the wine that I had reduced out of the baking pan. I went ahead and sifted it using a fine mesh sifter into this pan. And the reason I did that was to take out any chunks that might be in there, from the onions to rosemaries that I was using in there. And then I use a ladle to skim the fat off the top, as much fat as I could off the top of this sauce. Now you could use a fat separator if you have one. If you don't have one, just use the old-fashioned technique. Just use a ladle, kind of tilt your pan, and slowly, very gently scoop out the fat. Now it takes a lot of patience, so just be patient for you to get the best results. Now remember, I showed you I had some heavy cream and some flour. I went ahead and made a paste out of it, and you want to beat it well, that way there are no lumps in there. And we're going to take some of this pan dripping sauce, and we're going to put about half of it into this mixture with the heavy cream and the flour. I'm going to whisk it together just until it's nice and smooth and well combined. And then I'm going to pour it back into the pan, and I'm going to let it cook or simmer on medium low heat for around 15 minutes. So I'm going to keep beating this up until it's nice and smooth, and I'll come back and show you once I put it into the pan. I'm going to put it back into this pan, and I'm just going to let it cook or simmer on medium low for around 15 minutes until we have a nice gravy. And I'm going to season it. I'm going to taste it at that point and make sure that it's not too salty or whatever I need. And then if it does need salt, I'll add some salt or pepper depending on what it needs. Actually, this is smooth enough to where I can do it now. And I'm going to use a flat whisk to keep whisking this into the pan. Okay. I'm just going to keep doing this until it's well combined and let it cook down, or simmer on medium low for 15 minutes. I'm going to taste it in a little bit to see if it needs a little bit of salt or pepper. And then I'll come back and show you the turkey that's already served on the platter. It's just cooling down. And then we're going to see what it looks like. So we'll see you back in a little bit. And I did forget to mention, you will want to add some chicken broth into this mixture. As it cooks, it's going to thicken, so you're going to want to add a little bit of chicken stock. Now remember, for all the ingredients and the measurements, I'll include everything in my blog. Please visit. It's www.stellasmeza.blogspot.com. See you in a minute. Hey guys, our turkey is done, and as you can see, I put it on the platter, and I've decorated it with some grapes and apples and some lemons. You can use whatever it is you want just to make it look nice and presentable. And I've also put a sprig of rosemary to the side. And our gravy is also done. It's nice and creamy. Okay, you see that? No lumps at all. Tastes great. Especially, I think that wine just kicked it up a notch. Now I went ahead and sliced part of the turkey breast. As you can see over there, it's nice and moist on the inside. And I served it up on a plate, which is what you see here. And I'm just about to dig in and enjoy this goodness. It's very moist. The skin is nice and crisp like it should be. So I hope you get to give this a try. And I hope you join me next time as I take your taste buds on another culinary safari. Thank you for joining me this time, and Kwaheri.
Yeah, 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 yeah.